I do know that those big workforce projects like an IET implementation or a merger, as you mentioned, like those also have massive, like I suppose, like ripple effects that need that almost employee focused change management outside of just how we're going to roll the software out, like getting people to utilize new systems and see the value in it. And then if the technology doesn't run out so perfectly, again, I know this is like maybe a little bit off the tangent, but I just wonder if that's something you've been through, and if you had a little like, hey, if whether large or small, and I think it's great if you've been a part of a large scale, that maybe there's that little piece or tidbit that the small business owner or the mid-sized business that don't have the deep resources, where it's like, if there was one thing I would do different, or this was a great thing I learned, if anything like that comes to mind before we move on to the succession planning topic.
Yeah, no worries. I think the biggest thing that I always tell clients when I'm having these conversations around organizational change is that whatever you're doing, about 75, like especially with the IT projects or whatever, 75% of your change is going to be taken care of by training. And I'm talking good training. I'm not talking about, we send you into a classroom, you click a few buttons, and that's it. It's, a fulsome training program where some of it might be gamified. You might have, all sorts of different engagement points. You may have quick start guides. You may have computer-based training, whatever it is. It needs to be fun and engaging. But training is kind of the core of that 75% of change. The 25% is the harder part. And the 25% is all about behavior, and it's all about engagement. How are you actually engaging people in the end? And, there's something called psychological reactance that happens. So in the case, and I love using this, if you have kids and you tell a kid you need to go wear a scarf because it's cold outside, what's the kid going to do?
Not want to wear a scarf.
I'm not going to wear a scarf, right? Yeah. And that's because there's something going on in that kid's brain that's perceiving a threat, even though you're not threatening, you're trying to help. But because you've told them something instead of engaging them in the process of it, right, they're going to have something called psychological reactance, where they go, no, I'm not going to do it, right? Now, if the cool kid down the street walks out of their house with a scarf, and you haven't told anything to your kid, what do you think your kid's going to come running back in the house and ask you?
Yeah, I need a scarf.
I need a scarf. Yeah. Cool kid down the road has a scarf. So we've got a level of peer influence. We have a level of leadership going on. We've got all this stuff, but it's all about how you're engaging with people. And it's the same thing with adults. Adults, honestly, they'll go back to acting like kids sometimes. And it's just natural, because sometimes we've had a bad experience with something, and so we're scarred from that. We've had poor leadership. We haven't had any support from our peers. We've had no systems changes around us. So like structural changes. So for example, if you're going on a diet, you take all the junk food out of your house, right?
Sure.
That's a structural change, because therefore you're trying to have a behavioral change around something. So I take my junk food out of my house so I don't eat my junk food.
Right.
Therefore, it's a hassle to go to the store and get junk food. Again, we have to think about like kind of the whole person when we're looking at this whole engagement piece. So how are we going to engage somebody in building maybe a solution, or how are we going to engage them in allowing them to provide feedback, because maybe they have a really good idea. Maybe we haven't thought about the fact that if we change this form, this other thing's going to break in the system, and we just don't know, because some customer person on the other end, that's what they deal with day to day.
Right.
So it's about engagement and then training.